Welcome to YOUCANIC. In this video we're going to take a look at some power inverters and what you need to keep in mind when you choose one. To decide how you're going to connect it to your car, how are you going to connect it to the battery. And the easiest method is through the cigarette outlet, right? When you plug it into the cigarette outlet, you need to know that there's a fuse there that protects that circuit, and that fuse is usually about 15 amps. So your car, the battery voltage on your car is 12 volt. So what you need to figure out is the current that you can use without blowing that fuse, right? If you multiply 15 amps by 12, you have about 180, and that's how you find the power. So it's current times the voltage, and that's the power, and it's expressed in watt. And if you look at the back of any of the devices that you want to power, be that a laptop or any appliance in your home, it will say it needs 1500 watt for a microwave, or a laptop might need like 90 watt. So you need to know what you can plug into an inverter that's getting plugged into the power outlet. So I would say I wouldn't plug in anything, even if the inverter said rated at 200 watt. You don't want to plug in anything into an inverter that is plugged into the cigarette outlet, and that the device that you're powering, it requires more than 180. I mean, ideally maybe like even 150 watts, so you don't overheat that circuit. The other method that you can connect an inverter is if you hardwire it directly to the battery, and that's what you want to do with a higher power inverter, maybe like a 400. And two things that you should always do when you connect an inverter to the battery: you hardwire it. For one, you need to put an inline fuse, but you also need to use probably a relay, so that when the car is turned off, the inverter is not powered. Because if you leave that inverter plugged into the power into the battery all the time, there's a very good chance that it might drain the battery, especially when the car is parked for a long period of time. And then the other method, and it's one of our favorite methods to use, is to use an inverter that has a built-in battery. With this, you can charge it in your car, and the advantage is that when you charge this in your car, it's not going to draw more than 15 amps. You can also, they usually have USB ports, and you can even just get a cigarette outlet wherever you want to go. Like, you don't even have to be by the car. So that's really great. But again, even when you choose these kind of inverters that do have a built-in battery, you need to know how much power the inverter or the battery can provide, and then you want to look at your device, whatever that is. The rating on your electronic device needs to be lower than what the inverter can provide. One thing that I would recommend as well is that if you are if let's say you're using an inverter that plugs into your cigarette outlet and it's rated at 100, and then you have a laptop that's rated at 90 watt that demands 90 watt. So what you probably should do is turn on that laptop before you plug it into the inverter, because when you initially turn on the laptop, it might draw more current than what the inverter can provide, or what that circuit can't provide that current. So it can blow the fuse, and that's a pretty common issue with people who use inverters on a regular basis. Another thing that to keep in mind is that if you are going to power an inverter, and especially if you're going to connect it directly to the battery, a large inverter that is drawing, is providing 1000 or 2000 watt, what you should do is probably consider a professional installation. You might want to upgrade the battery, you might want to upgrade the alternator as well. And the reason why I say that is because in your vehicle, especially the more sophisticated and modern they are, that alternator is not really designed to run an inverter. So if it's for something that's going to draw so much current, it's going to bring the available current, and even sometimes even the voltage down. Control units are not getting enough current and to operate. So what will happen is they will trigger and set fault codes, and usually one that we see more often is like the airbag light. It gets triggered because of under voltage, and that is a very common one. But you can also of course trigger warning lights in other systems as well, like transmission control units and things like that. So you do need to be careful. If you want to power something in your home, you really need to do the research so you don't cause any damage to your vehicle. And just wanted to show you really quick right here, this inverter, power inverter with a built-in battery. Not only can you use something like this in the car, but you can take this like on a boat. You can take it, you know, in the backyard or camping and just carry it with you. And you can power devices up to 200 watt with this. With this one, you can see it. Let's look at this. You know, if you're going to use an inverter on the lights in your house, you also need to be careful that you don't cause any electric issues and shorts, so you know how to the inverter. But also, most importantly, you need to decide how many lights, for example, you can run on an inverter. So if you do have an inverter that's like runs 200 watt, so you divide that, and let's say you have 60 watt bulbs. You divide that by the 200 divided by 60, means you can only run about 3 of these lights. If you have about 5 or 6 light bulbs, then you might be better off upgrading to LED. And these LEDs, for example, they only use about 10 watt per bulb. So if you had a power inverter that generates 200 watt divided by 10 watt that each one of these requires, that means you can power about 20 of these LED light bulb. And I wouldn't really go 20. I'll probably power, let's say, about 18 to stay a little bit below that maximum limit on the power inverter, because even though these inverters might be rated at, let's say, 200, 120, the problem is that if you hit that limit, what happens, they have a circuit overload protection, and that will turn off. And so, and you'll see, like, and then if you take off some of the load, and then they turn back on, and then it might just cycle on and off. So you don't want to push that limit of whatever the inverter says. Like, I mean, if it's rated at 400 watt, you don't want to push that limit. You want to stay about 80% of whatever the inverter is rated at. So with all that said, we hope that this video helped you choose an inverter, and we will have some links below of inverters that we like. Thanks for watching.